Today, we are leaving the stratosphere of wealth as we generally understand it. We are entering a uh, completely different dimension.
Yeah, it really is. It's a category error to
Oh, yeah.
even try and compare what we're looking at today with standard rich lists.
Yeah.
Usually when we analyze a fortune on this deep dive, we are talking about millions or maybe in the absolute most extreme cases, hundreds of billions.
Yeah.
But today we are talking about trillions
Trillions with a T.
with a T. Right?
Exactly. We are looking at a level of assets and just a daily lifestyle that frankly defies standard human comprehension. We are talking about Raimondo Cheese, the dictator of Waikiki, his partner, the pop culture icon turned diplomat and princess, Selena Gomez, and the wider Cheese dynasty.
Our mission for this deep dive is actually very specific. We aren't here to do a political history of Waikiki or a critique of their governance structure.
Yeah, that's a whole different show.
Exactly. We're looking exclusively at the material reality of this family based on the provided dossier. We're going to look at their assets, their spending habits, their real estate portfolio, and the sheer overwhelming scale of their luxury lifestyle. We are just reporting on what the documents show.
And trust me, overwhelming is the only right word here. Because we are talking about a palace, a single private home worth $80 billion. We are talking about renting out entire islands in the Maldives just for a date night. And dinner parties where the dessert is literally dusted in 24-karat gold.
It's essentially a case study in what happens when absolute political power is married to completely unlimited economic resources, but filtered through a taste for modern pop culture. It is what happens when you give a 20-something keys to a kingdom and a credit card with no limit.
Huh. Yeah, a credit card with no limit is putting it mildly. I am so ready to be blown away by the glamour of this, but I know you are here to keep us grounded in the economics and the infrastructure of how this is even mathematically possible.
I will definitely do my best to ground it, but I have to admit, even as someone who looks at global finances all day, the numbers here are staggering. It completely challenges our fundamental understanding of what a personal fortune even means.
So let's just dive right into those numbers. Section 1, the scale of the fortune. Where do we even begin with a bank account this big? Like, what is the starting point?
We have to start with the personal net worth of Raimondo Cheese himself. Even back then, in 2018, his personal wealth was estimated at over 2,000 billion US dollars.
Okay, wait, I need you to pause for a second. You just said 2,000 billion.
I did.
My brain just glosses right over that. We hear the word trillion on the news sometimes regarding the national debt of entire countries, but for a single human being, help me and the listener, visualize what $2 trillion actually looks like.
It is really difficult because the human brain just isn't wired for that many zeros. But think of it this way. Let's say you earned $1 every single second.
Okay.
Every second. No sleeping, no taking breaks, just a constant stream of $1 a second. To get just $1 million, it would take you about 11 days.
Okay, 11 days, that's doable. I can picture an 11-day vacation.
Right. Now, to get to $1 billion at that exact same rate of $1 a second, it would take you 31 years.
Wow. Okay, so a million is 11 days, but a billion is 31 years. That is a massive jump.
It is. Now, to reach Raimondo Cheese's personal net worth of $2 trillion, you would have to count at $1 a second for over 60,000 years.
What?
Over 60,000 years. You would have to start counting before the last ice age even ended, and you would basically just be finishing up your counting right now.
That is, okay, that actually makes me feel a little physically nauseous, 60,000 years. But how? I get that he is a dictator, and I get that there is oil involved, but 60,000 years of counting, where does it all come from?
Well, it is not just him in isolation. If you look at the aggregate wealth of the entire royal family, meaning Raimondo, his father, Cheese Young, and his sisters, Angelina and Jennifer, by 2016, estimates placed their total combined control at around 10 trillion US dollars.
10 trillion. That is a number that is just hard to hold in your head. That isn't like, oh, I can buy a sports team money. That is by the entire sports league and the stadiums and the cities. The stadiums are built in money.
Exactly. And it contextualizes why, in 2018, Forbes named Raimondo Cheese the world's most influential person. He actually outranked major global figures like Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. And it is not just soft political influence. It is raw, liquid, immediate purchasing power.
But again, where does that kind of specific money come from? You don't find $10 trillion in the couch cushions, and you definitely don't earn it by just aggressively saving your government salary.
Right, no. It is a mix of inherited state structure, very aggressive industrial policy, and family monopolies.
Yeah.
First, you have United Holdings. This is Raimondo's personal holding company. To give you a sense of its sheer scale, the sources indicate that in a single year, this one company invested $10 billion into various projects.
10 billion in one single year. Most massive Wall Street venture capital firms don't deploy that much capital in an entire decade.
Exactly. And that is essentially just his side hustle. Then you have the energy sector. The Royal Oil Group. This is a massive, massive factor in the wealth generation. In 2022, facing rising global energy prices due to geopolitical instability, specifically the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the government, led by Raimondo, lifted their oil production caps.
Right. I remember reading about that in the dossier. They allowed for completely unlimited export.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They opened the taps all the way.
Yeah.
Fueling this fortune with unlimited oil exports during a period of peak global demand acts like a fire hose of liquidity. But here is where it gets really fascinating to me as an analyst. It is not just about selling raw resources.
Yeah, because when I was looking through the ownership structures of the various family members, it really felt like they own, well, everything, like the everyday brands we all use. It is not just oil wells and land deeds.
Yes, it is vertical integration on a global scale. This is the truly critical part to understand. Economists talk about vertical integration all the time, like Apple owning the software and the hardware for an iPhone. But here, the family itself does the integrating across entirely different sectors.
Break that down for us a bit more. Who exactly owns what?
Let's look at the banking and luxury ownership portfolios. Take Jessica Walker. She isn't just a government official. She is an absolute titan of global finance. The documents show she holds major ownership stakes in Commonwealth Bank, Lloyd's Banking Group.
Okay, so massive international banks.
Right, but it goes further. This is crucial. She also owns stakes in MasterCard and Visa.
Wait, she owns the credit card companies, the ones we all use?
Effectively, she holds controlling stakes in them, yes. Now, I want you to think about the life cycle of a single dollar inside the Waikiki economy. Let's say a citizen decides to go out and buy a designer bag.
Okay, let's say they buy a Louis Vuitton bag.
Good example. Who owns Louis Vuitton?
Well, according to the dossier we have, his sister, Jennifer Cheese, owns it.
Right. So the massive markup profit from that designer bag goes directly to the sister. But how does the citizen actually pay for it at the register? They swipe a credit card. Who processes that transaction and takes that little 3% interchange fee off the top?
Jessica Walker, because she owns Visa.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that card itself is likely issued by Commonwealth Bank, which is also owned by Jessica. And then the citizen wants to post a picture of their new bag on social media, so they use data on their phone plan.
Which would be Verizon. And Verizon is owned by the other sister, Angelina Cheese.
You've got it. The money literally never leaves the family's table. It just moves continuously from one family member's pocket to another family member's pocket. They haven't just cornered the market. They actually are the market.
That is just mind-boggling to me. It's not just being rich. It is a closed ecosystem. They own the bank holding your money. They own the store you buy from. And they own the phone network you use to call the store. It is a level of total consolidation that we haven't really seen since maybe the Gilded Age with the Carnegies and Rockefellers, but this is on a modern global digital scale.
That is the ultimate key takeaway here. This isn't just wealth, it is structural dominance. And that specific kind of dominance is what allows for a lifestyle that is, well, let's transition and talk about the real estate.
Oh yes, the crown jewels. Section 2, the real estate portfolio. Because when your family controls $10 trillion, you definitely do not live in a standard luxury penthouse. You live in a zip code that you personally own. We have to talk about Raimondo's primary palace.
Let's look at the origin of the property first. This wasn't initially built as a formal state project. It was actually a 16th birthday gift from his parents.
A 16th birthday gift? Seriously. When I turned 16, I got a used sedan and a sheet cake. He got a literal palace.
It was officially completed in 2014. The estate sits on 1,600 hectares of prime coastal land. Just to give you and the listener some context on that, 1,600 hectares is enormous. That is physically larger than a lot of small towns. But the valuation is what really stops you in your tracks. The property is formally estimated at $80 billion.
$80 billion, with a B, for a single house.
Well, the land value alone is estimated at $30 billion. The sheer scarcity of that pristine coastal land in the Novarelli region drives that baseline price up. But the construction itself, that is where the other $50 billion went.
Let's walk the listener through what exactly $50 billion of construction budget actually buys you. Because it is not just gold-plated toilets and marble columns, right? It is the underlying technology. The dossier mentions this smart technology that physically adapts to the visitor.
The entire house is rigorously rigged with highly intelligent electronics. When you walk into a given room, the system instantly identifies you. This is likely done through advanced biometrics or perhaps a specialized RFID tag you wear. It then seamlessly adjusts the entire environment to your specific pre-programmed personality profile,
Meaning what exactly? What does it change?
meaning the ambient temperature of the room shifts instantly to your exact preferred degree. The background music playing from the hidden speakers changes to your favorite genre or artist. Even the scent in the air adjusts through the HVAC system. Maybe it pumps in lavender if your profile says you are stressed, or a citrus blend if you need energy. And even the digital art on the walls physically changes to match your taste.
That is wild.
It is a house that is in a constant state of shifting to please whoever happens to be standing inside of it. And look at another feature of the house, the replica parliament. Why does a 16-year-old need an exact, full-scale replica of the government parliament's Great Hall built inside his private home?
I assumed when I read that it was for practice, like a safe space for her to learn how to be a dictator and practice speeches.
It is a massive architectural statement of absolute ownership.
And then, shifting gears entirely, you have the leisure aspect of the estate. And this is the part where you really vividly remember that he was literally a teenager when he was handed the blueprints for this place.
The amenities are pure, unadulterated teenage dream fulfillment.
I mean, an underwater music system installed in a giant resort-style pool, a 5-slide aqua park, and I want to emphasize that, not one pool slide. A 5-slide aqua park in the backyard, a professional-grade paintball course.
A state-of-the-art modern cinema, 4 separate saunas.
It is like they sat a 16-year-old down and asked him what his ultimate fantasy house looked like. And because he was 16, he said he wanted paintball and water slides. And then because they had unlimited money, they just built the absolute best, most expensive version of those things on planet Earth.
But to run this private fun city, you need a small army of logistics personnel. The permanent staff headcount for this one single residence is 200 people.
200 staff members for one house.
That includes 20 full-time chefs just to cook the meals, and 12 dedicated gardeners just to maintain the botanic gardens and the grounds.
I really tried to do the math on this while prepping. If you have 20 full-time chefs on payroll, that isn't a kitchen anymore. That is a fully operational commercial restaurant.
It is. It is a 24-hour Michelin-level restaurant that only has one single permanent customer.
Let's move from $70 billion buildings to personal gifts. Because if you have $10 trillion in the family bank account, birthday presents look a little different than handing someone a Starbucks gift card or a nice cashmere sweater.
Just a little bit different, yes.
Section 3. The Art of Gift Giving and Celebrations. The source material lists out the items from the 2016 government evaluation. This was essentially an end-of-year bonus structure for the top government officials, right?
Yes, Cheese Young had a formal evaluation of the year's performance and handed out bonuses to his inner circle. Now, in a normal corporate structure, a great bonus is a large check, maybe some vested stock options. Here, Raimondo received a luxury yacht.
A yacht as a performance bonus. That feels like, I don't even know how to process what that feels like.
It gets wilder. Bailey Pickett, who was a sitting senator and also his ex-girlfriend at the time, received a custom blue diamond.
And his sisters, how did they do in the evaluations?
Angelina and her partner at the time, Taylor Lautner, got an ocean liner, not a personal yacht, a full-scale ocean liner.
Like a literal commercial cruise ship.
Essentially, yes. A massive vessel capable of crossing deep oceans carrying hundreds or thousands of people. And Jennifer and Tyler Posey got a holiday resort. Just here are the title deeds to a fully operational resort. Good job this year.
It completely blurs the line between state compensation and dynastic wealth distribution. It is treating massive national infrastructure assets like they are just party favors in a goodie bag.
Exactly. It is the ultimate personalization of state resources. The country had a profitable year, so here's a tropical resort for you personally. But as crazy as those are, the most esoteric gifts are the deeply personal ones, the ones that money almost can't legally buy anywhere else. There's the gift Selena gave Raimondo for his own 20th birthday, a custom piece of art made from actual physical moon rock.
Moon rock, which is highly illegal to privately own in almost most countries on Earth, isn't it?
In the U.S., certainly.
Yeah.
You absolutely cannot just go buy Apollo mission samples on the open market. But in Waikiki, if you have your own state-funded space agency, which we will absolutely get to, you get to make your own rules. These gifts are highly symbolic. They are communicating a very specific message The Earth is not enough. We need to own the moon. We need to own the stars.
And when they celebrate these milestones, they really celebrate. The parties are legendary in these dossiers.
Raimondo's 20th birthday party in 2016 really seems to be a major benchmark event. It was held in the East Wing of the dictator's palace. The guest list included huge names like Harry Styles, Zac Efron.
It is this fascinating mix of pop culture royalty rubbing shoulders with actual literal royalty. But the one detail that stuck with me the absolute most was from the Christmas 2024 dinner.
Ah, the Christmas dinner, yes.
The palace is decorated with 120,000 individual light strings. They have the entire Waikiki Philharmonic Orchestra playing live music under a giant glass dome. But the menu is what got me. Foie gras with white truffle, lobster with caramelized pineapple, and then the dessert.
A pistachio dessert, heavily dusted in 24-karat gold leaf.
Eating gold. It is the ultimate undeniable symbol of just having too much. It's theater. They are performing the concept of wealth, both for themselves and for their dinner guests.
And notice the carefully curated entertainment. The Philharmonic, playing on a glass dome terrace, followed immediately by private stargazing in a heated crystal dome. They completely control the ambient temperature. They control the acoustic sound. They even control the curated view of the stars. It is total environmental mastery.
Let's move on to how they actually get around to all these places. Section 4, high-end travel and exploration. Because they obviously aren't flying commercial airlines, and they certainly aren't booking rooms at the local Holiday Inn.
Definitely not.
It established a pattern of total access. They don't just visit famous places like normal tourists. They unlock them. They clear everyone else out.
Exactly, like their trip to the Pharaoh's tombs in Cairo. They didn't just stand in a long line with a tour guide. They got direct access into the closed, restricted areas. They viewed the Forbidden City in a way that normal tourists simply never get to experience. For them, travel is an act of dominion.
But then we move forward to what the media calls the Relena era, Raimondo and Selena, as a power couple. This is where the travel luxury becomes much more secluded and bespoke.
I really want to zoom in on the Maldives trip they took in 2023, because this singular event really illustrates the level 10 wealth we are talking about today.
Okay, so renting out a private island. I have heard of major celebrities doing that. Leonardo DiCaprio does it. The Kardashians do it. It is incredibly expensive, but it is a known thing that happens.
That is true. But usually, when a standard celebrity rents out a private resort island, they use the island's built-in staff. They eat the food that the resident resort chef prepares in the kitchen. They get a massage from the local resort masseuse.
Sure, that is just part of the all-inclusive luxury package.
Raimondo and Selena absolutely did not do that. They rented the physical landmass of the Vela private island, but they essentially wiped the software.
Wipe the software. What do you mean by that?
I mean, they brought their entirely own infrastructure with them. They flew in their own elite protocol-trained staff directly from Waikiki to replace the resort workers. They flew in specific world-renowned chefs, all the way from Paris, just to cook specific sunset yacht dinners. They fundamentally did not trust the world-class luxury resort to be luxury enough for their standards. Imagine the staggering logistics of that, though.
Sure.
You aren't just packing a suitcase for a beach trip. You are packing an entire workforce. You are practically invading the Maldives with your own staff for a one-week vacation. And the amenities they brought, a private submarine, their own super yacht, a helipad.
Wait, let's talk about the submarine.
The private submarine.
Most wealthy people go snorkeling on vacation. Maybe they get scuba certified. These two physically shipped a private submarine to the Maldives just so they could have a romantic dinner under the water without having to get their hair wet. It really is about conquering the natural environment, not just visiting it.
You see the exact same philosophy with their trip to Japan in 2024. They engaged in private tea ceremonies wearing authentic kimonos, but they also rented an entirely private, ultra-luxury carriage on the Shinkansen, the famous bullet train.
And the Machu Picchu trip in 2020. Reading the logistics for this one sounded totally exhausting to plan.
They rented an entire luxury train just to get up the mountain. But the real key to that trip was the timing. They negotiated early access to the ruins before the official opening hours.
Because that is the absolute most valuable commodity money can buy at that level. Complete silence. Being completely alone at a major world wonder without any crowds in your sightline. They literally had a Michelin-starred breakfast served to them right there on the mountain. And they were physically transported up there by, and I have to quote the dossier directly here, alpaca fur-lined carriers.
Yes, they were carried up the mountain trails in fur-lined boxes by handlers. It evokes a very, very different era of global travel. It's highly colonial almost.
But the absolute ultimate travel flex isn't even on Earth. We have to talk about space travel.
This is the major differentiator. This is what truly separates your standard billionaires from the cheese dynasty. In 2018, Raimondo and Selena actually flew to the Waikiki space station.
They just casually have their own space station.
The Waikiki Space Agency operates its own orbital station. They flew up there aboard the Columbus shuttle, and they spent 2 full weeks in orbit.
Most billionaires, your Bezos types, your Bransons, they pay $20 or $30 million for a quick 10-minute suborbital hop to the very edge of space. They get 5 minutes of weightlessness and come right back down. These two went up for a 2-week romantic vacation in orbit.
Experiencing sustained weightlessness, viewing the curvature of the Earth for days on end. It is the famous astronaut overview effect, but completely privatized for 2 people. And they clearly aren't stopping there. The dossier explicitly mentions the ongoing development of interstellar-class space shuttles. They view outer space not as a scientific frontier to conquer for humanity, but simply as another high-end destination in their personal travel portfolio.
I can just imagine the conversation. Honey, should we go to the Maldives or the moon this weekend?
That is quite literally a conversation they are financially and technologically capable of having right now.
Let's talk about the toys they keep on the ground. Section 5, vehicles and toys.
The standard car fleet is exactly what you would expect from this level of ultra-wealth. Raimondo drives a custom Lamborghini Aventador, which the records show was a personal gift from Selena.
Which is all standard rich guy stuff. I feel like every successful YouTuber has a Lambo in their garage now. But the yachts are where the Cheese family really distinguishes itself from the pack. And they use these incredible yachts for incredibly casual hangouts, like the party they threw for the cast of Pretty Little Liars.
Right. Actors like Ashley Benson and Lucy Hale, they all came aboard. It functions as a massive floating entertainment venue, specifically for their curated celebrity circle. It's a portable palace that they can park anywhere in the world.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 6, fashion and public image. Because you simply cannot have all this stuff and all this power and not look the part. You have to dress for the job you have, and in this case, the job is basically ruler of everything.
Selena's personal transformation over the years is the ultimate case study here. She very consciously transitioned from being a pop star, a Disney kid, a wizard on Waverly Place, to Her Highness.
The coronation in 2017 was the real turning point.
That was the absolute pivot point for her public image. It was a massive event attended by the Dalai Lama, as well as sitting members of Spanish and English royalty. It totally legitimized her on the world stage. It wasn't just treated as a celebrity wedding or a fun party. It was a formal, recognized state event.
And her personal style shifted dramatically to match that new status.
Drastically. She completely moved away from chasing fast fashion trends and pivoted to legacy fashion. Look her appearance at the 2023 coronation of King Charles III in London. She wore a custom Maison Cheese couture dress.
Maison Cheese Couture, they literally have their own high-end couture fashion house.
Of course they do. Why rely on outside designers? The dress was heavily gold-threaded. It deliberately mixed traditional Waikiki heritage motifs with strict European royal protocol. She wasn't showing up dressing like a charting pop star. She was dressing as a recognized peer to the Windsors. She was visually signaling to the world, I belong in this room.
And they brilliantly branded themselves as a couple. The media calls them Relena.
Right. Very similar to Brangelina back in the day.
But, you know, with access to nuclear launch codes and unlimited oil reserve.
Ideally, those two things don't mix, but yes.
Yeah.
They lean into the branding heavily. Their public displays of affection, like the highly publicized kiss at the Golden Globes in 2017, constantly mix with incredibly high-stakes global diplomacy. They will have a serious sit-down meeting with Putin, Trump, or Netanyahu in the morning, and then they will walk the red carpet at the Teen Choice Awards in the evening.
It is a completely hybrid celebrity political status that we just haven't really seen before in modern history. They occupy both lanes simultaneously and effortlessly. They can be on the cover of Time magazine for geopolitics and the cover of Vogue for fashion in the exact same week.
And to effectively maintain that delicate balance in the public eye, you need to actively give back. You can't just be seen taking and consuming. You have to demonstrate that you are benevolent rulers.
Which brings us to Section 7, philanthropy, spending for good.
The primary vehicles for this are the Global Hope Foundation and the Waikiki Conservation Foundation.
They threw that massive gala that was actually hosted by Sir David Attenborough.
Having Attenborough host your gala gives you instant, unquestionable credibility in the global conservation world. He is the absolute gold standard. At that specific event, Raimondo and Selena personally matched outside donations to reach a total of $20 million specifically for saving blue whales, snow leopards, and Siberian tigers.
Notice it's always the charismatic megafauna. They are saving the really cool, highly photogenic animals.
That is very true. It is great for PR. But to be fair, during the recent pandemic, their spending was incredibly massive and much more practical to human needs.
Yeah, the dossier notes that Cheese Young outright donated 1 billion Waikiki United dollars from his own private fortune just to cover emergency state expenses. And Raimondo's United Health Division invested 20 million straight into research for curing previously incurable diseases.
It is the classic concept of noblesse oblige. We have all the money, so we have a moral duty to save the world. It philosophically justifies their massive accumulation of wealth to the public. The narrative becomes, look at all the incredible things we can do when we have all the resources consolidated in our hands.
And we really have to mention the infrastructure projects under this philanthropy umbrella, specifically the Havana-Miami Tunnel.
A high-speed magnet train, an underwater highway system stretching all the way between Florida and Waikiki, that it literally reshapes regional geography. And they are also actively reforesting large parts of Africa, starting with the Giza Plateau.
They are trying to plant a living forest around the ancient pyramids.
That is the documented plan. It is
Right.
basically terraforming. When you reach this specific level of wealth, you don't just buy luxury items anymore. You actively change the physical face of the planet. You plant massive forests in ancient deserts. You bore high-speed tunnels under oceans.
It is absolutely dizzying to take it all in at once. Going from the $80 billion smart palace that knows exactly what temperature I like, to the private luxury submarine in the Maldives, to the private space station in orbit, it is a lot of information to process.
It really is. And I think the key synthesis here, the main thing we really need to take away from this entire deep dive, is how this specific lifestyle blends three very distinct cultural archetypes that usually do not mix at all.
Break those down for us.
First, you have the traditional royal protocol, the grand coronations, the sprawling palaces, the formal titles, the bowing, the state meetings with other global kings and queens.
Right, all the ancient pomp and circumstance.
Second, you heavily mix in the modern tech billionaire aesthetic. The private space travel, the eco-yachts with trees on them, the ultra-smart homes, the heavy AI integration, the absolute obsession with owning the underlying infrastructure.
The Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos vibe, basically.
Exactly. And then third, you cop it all off with intense pop culture celebrity, hanging out casually with Disney Channel stars, winning Teen Choice Awards, and being shipped on the internet as Relena by millions of teenage fans.
They are the untouchable kings, the ruthless tech tycoons, and the relatable pop stars all rolled into one entity.
Exactly. And that unique combination creates a level of cultural and political influence that is almost impossible to quantify. They simultaneously appeal to the older history buffs who respect royalty, the Silicon Valley tech bros who respect innovation, and the teenage fan bases who drive internet culture.
It really raises a massive provocative question for me and hopefully for you listening at home. In a modern world where a single family actively controls $10 trillion, 10 trillion, and where entire celestial galaxies are casually handed over as 20th birthday gifts, where exactly does the line between official state power and extreme personal luxury dissolve? Is there even a line left anymore?
That is the literal $10 trillion question. When the state treasury and the personal bank account are effectively the exact same thing, the entire concept of public service morphs into something else entirely. It becomes a family business.
It is a world where the dictator isn't just the political ruler. He is the main character of the entire planet.
And the rest of us are all just sitting back and watching the show.
Definitely something for you to think about while you're sitting stuck in traffic in your Honda tomorrow morning, dreaming of maybe trying a pistachio dessert dusted in solid gold. Thank you so much for diving in with us today. We will see you on the next deep dive.